Mike BlueHair coming up right after the top of the hour news break.
The Pete Santilli Show, telling you the truth whether you like it or not.
And now, the most offensive radio talk show host on the planet, Pete Santilli.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my next guest, who I said I have a different relationship with this next guest in the following fashion. If you've never seen this before, I'm going to share it with you right now. This is the best introduction that I can give to him, and it'll give you an understanding of why I have such an appreciation for the work he does in filming the police, because the police I'm referring to, with my experience with him, actually are as follows. Watch this. I'm actually going to put this on the screen here. This is Mike BlueHair filming my arrest. Here it is.
I was actually there when Pete Santilli, one of the guys that was arrested, I was there with him. He was basically trying to talk with the FBI and the sheriff's department to come to a peaceful resolution. He went and approached the FBI compound last night, and I was also in the car with him when he went and approached the sheriffs, because the FBI directed him over there. And he was putting forth the idea of getting some people to come down to the refuge and ask people to come out peacefully, when all of a sudden...
Put the camera away.
Now listen to this.
Sir, put the camera away right now. Right now, please.
I'm documenting, sir.
You need to go. You can document from the car.
Okay, sure. I'll go into the car, sir.
All right, thank you.
I'm not going to put the camera away.
I'm not going to put the camera away. And that should tell you about the character of this man that literally filmed my arrest. Mike BlueHair joins me. He's with Film the Police in Portland. And we're going to have a discussion, as I already talked about earlier in the program, about this dilemma that we have with the police and their conduct. Hold on a second. Mike BlueHair, are you there?
Yeah, Pete. Good morning.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, I have great audio with you. Good morning and welcome. We're coming together today. Of course, I wanted to let our listening audience know, our viewing audience that has never been introduced to you. I need to let them know why I like you as much as I do, because we have a kinship that will be a brotherhood that will always have for the rest of my life, as far as I'm concerned. Hopefully you feel the same way.
Agreed, Pete. I have a lot of affection for you. I don't get it. You're billing yourself as the most offensive talk show host in America. I don't understand. You make one little joke about shooting Hillary Clinton and people lose their mind.
Well, I say some pretty offensive things. I just came off of picking on Maxine Waters, who's running around saying that she's going to give reparations to members of the African American community. A lot of people are going to get so offended by that they're actually going to say that I'm racist, when in fact, you know what? I've been in the streets of Baltimore. I've talked to members of the African American community who told me, we don't want your handouts. We don't want your EBT cards. What we want are jobs. So I'm of that ilk that wants to take care of people within the African American community, but they find my comments towards Maxine Waters, calling her the Don King of Congress, as racist. That level of offense.
Well, that's just cultural Marxism. I mean,
Yes,
I'm an
sir.
anarchist, and I don't approve of either side. But that's just Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals being taught in schools, and everything that they don't agree with, they just label as racist, sexist, or classist, or just insert ist here. It's just a way of shutting down a logical argument. I prefer to use logical empiricism to make my decisions. I separate myself from emotions, and that's one of the reasons why I support people on the left and the right for their free speech rights, for their rights to live in a society free of molestation by police, free of murder by police, is because I use logic to dictate my actions. And yeah, Pete, to reiterate what you said, I have a lot of affection for you, and you'll always be considered family in my eyes.
Yeah, and and I remember, especially in the heat of the moment, learning about you when we were in Burns, and how you told us what you did, and you're filming the police, and you brought your camera and your gear. I really had no idea who you were, but I learned who you were through your conduct, through your actions. And you said, look, I don't think you guys should be running. You aren't of the type of person that's going to be running around with AR-15s you're running around with a camera. That's your weapon of choice, correct?
Right, exactly. The only thing I'm interested in shooting the police with is my video camera, and I view the Second Amendment is something that protects the First, but I can make myself more of a use and more of a servant to humanity by documenting law enforcement, because I think we have a serious cultural problem with how we interface with our own law enforcement, and we're going to get into that a little bit when we have this discussion about this police murder of John Illifritz.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's begin, and believe it or not, the timeliness of this discussion there. And I showed earlier on in the show that the Toronto van terrorist. I don't know if you saw this. I don't mean to catch you off guard, but let me tell you what happened with this van terrorist. He gets out of his vehicle. He's in Toronto. He's in the streets of Toronto, having run down, killed 10 people, injuring 15. The police are right in front of him. The guy jumps out of his vehicle. Now, I want you to tell me, based on your experiences and what you've seen, if this happened in the United States of America, tell me what would happen if somebody jumped out of their vehicle after mowing people down and he points a weapon at the police out in the middle of the street. What would have happened to that individual?
9 times out of 10, when anyone touches any sort of weapon near police, even if they're not aiming it at the police, they die. And that's just, you can see that with statistics. Now,
guess what happened? They actually, they told a guy, they were measured, they were calm, cool. I mean, the professionalism of this police, it's way beyond professionalism. We're talking about a sense of humanity, regardless of what the guy did. Obviously, you're crazy if you're going to be doing that. You already know that the person you're dealing with is not a mentally stable person. But he kills people, and the cop has this guy pointing a gun at him, and he never pulls the trigger. They ended up arresting him. They got him down to the ground and brought him over to the vehicle and ended up arresting him. Now, that is the discussion that I want to have with you today, because what we're about to share with our viewing audience is an article that you put up, and we've already had this discussion as to, why the police, because I do have, and you've already heard me, I do have this, not necessarily compassion, I have this understanding that our law enforcement, every single day, they suit up. It's like they have to make it a team sport. And they go into their day with an attitude like, I'm coming home, and hopefully the guys to my left and my right are gonna help me. But they're really not considering the life of the person at the other end of that AR-15 and that bullet, are they? Here in the United States.
And a lot of the times, police are being brainwashed to believe that there's some war on cops, and I can dispel that myth very quickly. If you just look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, you will see that law enforcement is not even in the top 10 of most dangerous jobs. I mean, I'll give you a brief rundown of stuff that's more dangerous than cops. Okay, climbing a ladder. Okay, 6,000 people die every year from climbing a ladder. There's 33,000 injuries. On average, there's about, and this is horrible, but there is about 50 police murders a year in this country. Now, if you're thinking about a country of 300 million people, that's statistically just nothing. Some years driving a cab is 3 or 4 times more dangerous than working in law enforcement. Chewing your food, okay? People are more at risk, how many choking deaths a year? Let's see. There's 5,051 people that die from choking every year. Okay, there's only about 50 cops that get murdered at work, which is horrible. But this whole idea that there's a war on cops is just ridiculous statistically, and you can show that with hard empirical data. And police need to start getting trained, and a lot of it has to do with these police unions that train them and advocate for them. The Fraternal Order of Police want warrior cops, and they still have this mentality, which I think underserves society as a whole, because police are reacting to that propaganda when in true actuality, it's never been safer in this country to be a law enforcement officer.
Okay, now, you know what? Now listen, we already went into this. We've already had this discussion. You've heard, my position is on both sides. I mean, we're going to show a video where I said that's inappropriate. But at the same time, you have to think about the mentality of who these guys are when they go in. But let me throw this out at you. Those statistics are great. And this isn't a gotcha thing. I'm not against you. I want to have this discussion in front of what you know to be, I'm the most listened to talk show host by, especially the federal law enforcement. And so I want to have this discussion in front of them so that they can hear us saying, okay, Santilli, you're not fully understanding. I care about one statistic. BlueHair is bringing up lots of numbers, and all I care about is the one person that would be surprised by just a routine traffic stop and a guy pulls a gun out and shoots me. I care about one person, not the 6,000 people that fell off of a ladder. I only care, and they do. They care about themselves. They want to go home to their wife and kids, and they're really cognizant of that. Those statistics don't matter in their mind when they show up on a routine traffic stop, do they?
No, and I think people need to read more and watch TV less, honestly. Okay, people on the right, when they argue pro-law enforcement issues, they remind me of folks on the left when they're talking about, when they're fudging numbers or exaggerating numbers to fit their ideological worldview in order to take guns away from people.
No.
It reminds me of the same mentality.
No. You know what? And I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm not approaching this from a right wing or left wing. Yeah, I'm not. It's not even an ideological thing. I'm just thinking, why do police? They're nervous and they're in fear of their lives. They use that excuse, and I think it's a lame excuse as well. I'm kind of torn by this. You have to have a little bit of compassion for a human being that shows up to work every day knowing full well that they could die and not go home to their wife and kids. And it's really from that position alone that I'm trying to defend the mentality. It's an awful mentality. It's a terrible thing. Maybe they should change jobs, I guess, if they can't have a sense of humanity.
Yeah, policing in this country has moved in tactics from a community-based policing model, which is cops walking a beat and getting to know the people they patrol, into a reactionary-based policing model. Reactionary-based policing models basically view every U.S. city as a population they're trying to balkanize, and it's basically they're treating the American people as if though there's a counterinsurgency happening, and all the criminals, in quote, are the insurgents and police are the standing army, and I find that very disturbing.